All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you had yourselves a fantastic weekend and are ready for what should hopefully be a relatively interesting trading week. A few things to talk about, I guess, just from like an operational perspective, right? While we're kicking things off. So, month end, right? Setting up here, and we're going into a long weekend. Historically, it's a scenario that's probably more bullish than bearish. But we'll have to basically see, right? Pretty impressive volume there on Friday, right? Very impressive volume there on Friday. And we're going to be looking for a good continuation narrative here. I'm just going to refresh this. Looked a bit weird. Care. And so, yeah, hopefully, right, that does give us a smooth bit of price action here today, and we can take advantage of it. The other thing, I guess, to note, right, is look, last week of the summer, right? Everyone's thinking about taking holidays. Everyone's taking a bit of time off, last week with the kids at school or before they go to school, whatever it is, right? So maybe also an opportunity for a little bit of a choppier market as we go into a long weekend. And potentially, right, that's going to give us a little bit of something to think about and worry about. The focus I have for myself here today and this week in general is to just have a calm, chill, easy trading week where I don't feel just burnt out, exhausted, whatever it might be by the end of the week. And to accomplish that, right, it's about being proactive, not reactive here, and about really just avoiding obvious mistakes. I don't really have the desire or the feeling as if you're self-sabotaging yourself's got to be the worst feeling as a trader. So no interest for that. One last comment here. I got a bunch of messages about this weekend. So just I guess calm everyone's concerns, whatever you want to do it. Some people had some issues executing on the paper trader with trading view on Friday. Basically, it like wasn't closing orders or wasn't closing or triggering stop losses for like 5 to 10 minutes. And so some people were showing up with their paper trading accounts and some crazy P&Ls, crazy in a bad way. It just is going to happen sometimes here, guys, with these paper traders. They're going to get overwhelmed. They're going to glitch out. They're going to do whatever. We don't need to have a one-on-one call about that, right? Truth be told, it's just going to happen. So don't worry about it, right? Please don't go too wild, and we should be okay. Effectively, right? The way that it works is that TradingView has an order matching algorithm or whatever you want to call it there. And I'm sure it's based on some sort of like implied volatility. As that volatility changes or goes outside of its extreme parameters, it basically goes into shutdown mode and the paper trader stops functioning. It's a pretty rare situation. So again, should not be something of significant concern here today. And again, not nearly relevant enough for a one-on-one call. All right. With that being said, let's start mapping things out here a little bit this morning. Let's figure out what we want to do, and then let's go from there. Should say here, guys, so not this week, but the following, we'll bring up this calendar. So the week of this one here, today is what, the 20... Today's the 25th. I'm on 22. Whoops. So today is the 25th. This week is going to be fine. Next week, though, guys, I will not be here. I've got a bachelor party I have to go to, and so I'm just going to turn that into a full week off. I got to go to Barcelona, so yeah, better for me to probably just take the full week off anyway. instead of having to try to figure out how to do it with flights and Airbnbs and in between. So just bear with me there for that next week. But yeah, let's have a good week until then. So let's start mapping things out here. Let's figure out what we want to get done here this AM, and let's set ourselves up for what should hopefully be an interesting trading week. Nothing too crazy from an economic calendar perspective here today. A little bit of a gap down, right? But still kind of confined inside yesterday's range or Friday's range. So we're very much looking for that continuation move there to the upside. And so this is going to be, right, just a 2 out of 3 the upside without volume, or sorry, with volume. And I do have a possible bearish scenario here, like a fake out at all-time highs. Should be pretty reasonable. So we'll say has to be above ATH, has to fake out above ATH, which is probably a little bit unlikely here today. And then we can crack down towards 64.60. And then we'll go down to like 6,400. Okay. And then to the upside here, we're looking basically for a move above 500, right? So starting point here is 6,500. And then we're looking 510, and then that's all-time highs, right? So at that point you're going. Cool. All right. The old NQ. Worse volume, probably worse candle shape. So this will be a 1 out of 3 here. How quickly things change. A little bit of an easier narrative here, but don't like the divergence between indexes, right? Generally want them to be telling me the same story across the board, not one story here, one story there. To the upside here, looking at 23.7 as our starting point. Okay, and then we're going like 24,000, crazy. And then we're going up maybe like 24.1, 24. I mean, all-time highs is 24.1. So that's probably plenty of space here this morning. Okay. So the downside here, it's got to get back down towards like 23. We're at 23,484. So I would say 23.4 as our starting point. 23.3. And then we've got it mapped out down towards 23,000. That's the starting point here for us. All right, cool. CL. Back to trending. Okay, green candle, decreasing volume, gap up. So 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume. We're at 64.28 pre-market. Going to be targeting a move towards 65. That's going to be our starting point here. And then up towards maybe like 68, like that upper trend line would be the long-term path I'd be looking for. Now I wouldn't expect that to happen necessarily all in one go, but for sure could be in play. And then to the downside here, we're basically looking for rejection, get back under the trend line down towards sort of that 62. So we'll call this an ORB fake out under the trend line. Yep. Then break down. And we're looking, so pre-market low 63.50. I just don't have to change that much here. 63.50 and then down towards like that 62 handle. All right, sweet. Apple, green candle, increasing volume, gap down. Not a super strong candle shape, not exactly super strong increasing volume. But we will still call this a 2 out of 3 to the upside with volume. Okay, Tesla, 2 out of 3 with vol. Microsoft, green candle, increasing volume, gap down. Couldn't hold previous highs. Arrows pointing lower, but still a 2 out of 3 with volume. Okay. Amazon, green candle, increasing volume, gap down. So 2 out of 3 to the upside. So far, right, pretty much everything is looking like our indexes. Nvidia, right? This is going to be the big narrative here this week with earnings Wednesday, the lunatic. In the short term today, this is a 2 out of 3 to the upside with volume. Okay. AMD, green candle, increasing, but not super strong volume. Pretty decent size gap down, but again, 2 out of 3 to the upside with volume. Okay, Meta, green candle, increasing volume, gap down. Same story here, pretty much everywhere. That's a welcome change, right? It's been a long time since pretty much all of our tickers have given us the same pre-market count. Netflix, inside bar times 3 now, the sequel. So you know it's Netflix. And then Google, 3 for 3 there to the upside. And then VIX 15.04. So implied daily range here today of a little bit less than 1%. Let's basically see where that volatility shows up here today, right? I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know if we're going to have a ton of enthusiasm. Maybe this is a market that just wants to wait for Nvidia's earnings, right, tomorrow. Or maybe it wants to see Trump tweet something. I'm not quite sure. I don't think anyone is quite sure. So we want to really judge how price action behaves here this morning. Are we going to see a clear or clean level, right, get established? And then, yeah, hopefully from there, we can create some pretty nice structure for ourselves. And then hopefully, right, take advantage of whatever action is available there to us. So, yeah, hopefully we can get ourselves a good day here, team. But yeah, don't have anything else really to say here pre-market. So I got a couple of minutes here before markets open. I'm going to go make myself a quick cup of coffee and get ready for what should hopefully be a interesting trading day. So be back in a couple of minutes here, team, and we'll break it down then. All right, sorry about that. So we're back. Let's see how the day shapes up here to hopefully get some nice enthusiasm. I normally love summer and favorite time of year. I have kind of hated August's trading conditions this year. They've been pretty close to miserable. All right. So NQ, probably the easier ticker for us to trade to the downside versus ES, right? NQ is going to be a little bit easier for us. The range is picking up. It's looking really tight there for a moment. I don't know if I like the diverging narratives here. Some tickers up, some tickers down. Probably, right? A warning of a little bit of chop or a little bit of indecision to start the day off. Not sure if that's exactly what I wanted to see here to start the session. And Q starting to crack a little bit. Not terrible open, actually, volume wise. Reasonable. All right. Slow, slow, slow. Really, the main thing we're looking for here, right, is for the divergence between our leading names to basically settle itself out. What looked really positive here 5 minutes ago was that all of our individual pre-market tickers were giving us effectively the same story with maybe one exception of Netflix, right? And now we're seeing a lot more differing elements or differing stories come into play here from an index level. And that's going to slow me down here just a little bit, or likely probably sets us up for a trade a little bit later on in the morning. If we're basically seeing indecision early, I'd like to see that get invalidated prior to me being aggressive. Well, I would say pretty terrified of just getting chopped to death here. That's really the sensation I would like to avoid. I'm going to get pickpocketed by the market. I'd rather just let that happen in Spain. instead of yeah, by Mr. Market. Again, pretty indecisive open here. So we're continually going to be hanging out for now. All right, one sec. How was everyone's weekend? I'm gonna have a nice, calm, relaxing, chill weekend. Oh man, so good for it to be back. Love that, Eric. That sounds fantastic. So still nothing of particular interest here. Hey, 105 doesn't sound too bad. I mean, I say that, Mike, because I've got meters and meters of snow coming probably 4 months, 3, 4 months from now, and I'm dreading it already. That's nuts. And again, so uh probably, Mike. I mean, it'll be a little bit of a different mountain experience because there's at least I can go snowboarding or skiing or whatever here. Where my place was in Kingston or near Kingston. It's a great spot, but it was like a house that I would rent out to uni kids. And there wasn't too much to do there unless you went to Queens. So for sure should be a little bit more of an interesting winter. I say this every year. I've not done it. Maybe I will at this point. But I always talk about snowbirding somewhere. Oh, maybe this year I'll finally go spend a month somewhere warm in the winter. I mean, so far, just a nonsense open. Absolutely zero enthusiasm. Yeah, Tampa would be really fun. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Phoenix in the winter is awesome. Scottsdale in the winter is awesome. And there's a lot of good places. That's the never heard of Honeymoon Island before. I might be a little bit too romantic for just a guy and his dog, Sonia. It's funny, Logan. When I lived in the UK, everyone thought I was an Irish traveler. I'm not sure if I'd be welcome in Houston's. All right. Well, I didn't realize Honeymoon Island was a park. That changes things a little bit. So, still a lot of different stories, right, on our leading names. I think that's why we're struggling to see some follow through there on the indexes. I mean, there's a few tickers that are breaking up Netflix like crazy. Kind of funny how that works. Netflix was the one ticker pre market that looked different than everything else. It's the one ticker post open that's like freaking flying. All right, so we're chilling. It's just a creeping, dreaded volume rally. There's CL. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean that's same thing with Nvidia. They're both getting hammered in the run up to earnings. Nvidia's earnings on Wednesday. A lot of that move, though, so far, or a lot of the heavy lifting of that move has been in the gap, right? So in the overnight action, we haven't had 3% sell off here yet in the morning. It's been pretty chill, all things considered. CL, good volume, kind of out of nowhere. Probably be just targeting 65 on this. No, Leia. It's absolute bullshit that companies hunt your stop loss. It's not true. The reality of it, right, is we don't trade enough size for us to be interesting for them, right? Um, so the company I worked for, I mean, we were big, but we weren't like the biggest player by any means. The amount that we were just paying in commissions, right, to JP Morgan or Deutsche Bank or Goldman Sachs just for executing trades each month was crazy. It was like 50 million maybe a month in commissions, right? Something along those lines in just trading commissions. Um, so like no offense, but all of us combined aren't trading with that amount of money, right? So there's very limited, like there's no edge for them in basically to try to get those really, really small moves when their commissions are that expensive. Now, I want to be careful in how I phrase this, but that doesn't mean, right, that they can't see your orders or they can't see what's going on. When you're placing a stop loss, you're placing effectively a market order. And when you place a market order, that then gets added to the queue of the tape, right? Effectively. So you can see, okay, there's 10 orders hanging out at 64.70, right? Or whatever the price is. And you know that, okay, if I'm looking to get a fill of 4 contracts, that, okay, there's 4 contracts waiting to get bought at 64.70. So I can put in that price and I'll take that order, right? So there's a little bit of that element, but they're not like hunting our stop losses or going after our trades or doing whatever. That drives me insane when people say that because they betray their understanding of actually how market dynamics work. Um, so yeah, it's not the reality. Like in general, I would say most companies are not worried about what retail traders are doing. They're trying to make sure that other institutions can't front run them. So, like all of their processes and procedures are about remaining anonymous enough so that some other fund can't tell if they're liquidating or buying positions. That's kind of like their execution ethos. And I would be very, very surprised. So, John, I've got 2 questions. I got 2 chats that I run. There's the one that you just asked your question in. The other one is in Discord, and someone just asked if banks and hedge funds hunt retail trader stop losses. Uh, I wish I had a magical formula, Simone, to avoid overpaying on taxes. I wish I had something there. Unfortunately, not too much. Um, Last year, like my net tax rate was like 51%. Unfortunately, not too much I can do as a Canadian. Really, my only ability to mitigate my taxes better would be to relocate somewhere where there is a more efficient tax structure. Um, I'm also not a very good person to ask for that because I'm very by the book these days, very, very conservative in my tax structure. To, yeah, John, you don't have access to it. You only have access to the YouTube. You're not missing out on anything, so you don't need to get focused in on that. The stream is the same, the chat is the same, but yeah, let's not get carried away here. Yeah, John, we've already talked about this, man. You already got access to everything you need access to. You have full access to the chat. You've got everything you signed up for your trial with, man. Like the only thing I will say, Simone, right about taxes. Look, I'm Canadian, right? So I'm based in Canada, and so the dollar, Canadian dollar, is generally kind of shitty. Right now, it's like 1.33, something like that. Um, so mentally, I put aside the difference, right, that I would get. So if I'm pulling 10K from my trading account, let's say 13K shows up, I'm putting that 3K aside for Mr. Taxman, putting a couple extra dollars aside there too. And then, mentally, it still feels like I'm walking away with 65% of what I made or whatever it is. Um, but yeah, as a Canadian, really, your only ability to manage it is go become a resident in like I don't know, Panama or Aruba or somewhere, and get yourself a good tax jurisdiction. Yeah, even Puerto Rico is it's really nice and stuff, but there's better places than Puerto Rico. I'll be honest. For tax advantages, you'd be better off going to the Bahamas or um, somewhere in the Caribbean and just get that true 0%. Yeah, but that's why it's not a good thing, right? Because you've got all the uh like you don't have the ability to be effectively anonymous with it, right? When you set up a uh let's say you get a permanent residency and tax residency in the Bahamas, you can start to open up trust, you can start to open up a lot of other, call it like wealth protection tools that'll allow you to basically become anonymous, right? And to have a lot more control basically over your money. So like Puerto Rico's a really good option if you're already an American and you have that choice. But the cost of me to get a US visa and to invest in one would be better off in the Bahamas. Yeah, I was like not really wanting to break out or sustain, which I think is a concern, right? It's now working on its fourth attempt to break out through the 6471. Why hasn't it done so already, right? So yeah, pretty tame here. It's a very muted open. Um I wouldn't necessarily it's inconsistent. I would say that it's inconsequential, Don. So it's consistently shit, right? For lack of a better term, or like the pattern is it's repeatable because we just see that it's trending lower and it's trending lower aggressively. So I wouldn't necessarily call that inconsistent. I would call that inconsequential or very unenthusiastic. Like, I'm not seeing anything of interest here yet. I wouldn't say anything's even come close to like making it interesting for me here so far this morning. Just kind of dumb. I was complaining to my buddy Aaron that why he didn't set up his bachelor party to be this week. It would have been such a better week to do it this week. But here we go again. Just first world problems. This is gonna be my third time going back to Barcelona, and every time I've been there, I've gotten pickpocketed, and so I'm very apprehensive, I guess. Only once I've had a few Modelos, Sonia. Only once I've had a few Modelos. What's a trucker chain? Will this keep my stuff safe when I'm drinking? Sorry, you gotta. Oh, nice. All right. Like the ones you see all these like 9-year-old kids who are badasses. Have you been to what, Sonia? Seville? Yeah, I have. Yeah. I would say that that's probably nicer than Barcelona, to be honest. It's just like more calm, right? Makes a big difference. Yeah, something about that CL, right? Just didn't seem right. The fact that it took 4 candles and it couldn't break up above that's high, that's confusing or like far from ideal. Okay, that's increasing, but it's not outlier volume. It's close, but it's not close enough. On ES, it's even more concerning. That's like lowest volume of the day on a breakout. That does not feel super sustainable. A little bit better on the 5-min. but I would still say I'm a little bit skeptical here. Right at 10 a.m. Honestly, all I really am looking forward to is I really want some really good tapas and I really want some good wine. Like you go to Spain and everyone eats at I don't know. How do I have an American accent? Well, I'm Canadian, so I'm not too far away. And I'm like the least Canadian because I'm not super socialist. So I think the only way that I can fit in is surround myself with other Americans. Plus, I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm constantly talking just like a piece of shit Philadelphian. So it comes out every now and then. And I say that with complete respect to the people of Philadelphia. I love them. Yeah, we get free healthcare, but I get free healthcare, but I can't get a doctor. So it's, kind of a waste. Hell yeah, Darren. I think we've got a general disdain for our government and economy. Yeah, and I'm not very good at detecting sarcasm in chat, so bear with me. Yeah. Okay, I'm in right now I live in a place called Whistler. This is 90 minutes north of Vancouver, something like that, so West Coast. Yeah, the free healthcare is real, but it's also really hard to get because you got to basically wait out the medical system. It's like you show up to the emergency room and it's a game of chicken. The doctor's trying to see how close you can get to death before they have to help you. Yeah, and if you're paying, I mean, the tax rate in Canada is so absurd. Taxes keep going up and the services keep getting worse. Which is, I mean, if you guys want me to rant and rave on a Monday morning, yeah, we're getting close towards the right topic for that. But yeah, Canada's a fucking disaster. Economically, it's a disaster. I find it, yeah, we've got probably the best store of natural resources in the world, and we're ashamed to use them. Oh, don't even get me started on that either, Sonia. The gun buyback programs here are ridiculous. Uh, what I would say, Matt, is this is kind of like my general interpretation, I guess, of life. The US is the best place to make money and to build wealth. Europe is the best place to spend money. And I think Canada is the best place to give it away. I wouldn't necessarily say that the quality of life is significantly better in the US. Oh, well, here's a story. Some guy broke into someone's house where I don't remember where in Canada it was, and he was there because he was looking to steal stuff. The homeowner beat this guy up. He yeah, kicked his ass effectively, and it was only the homeowner who got charged. How the hell does that make any sense? Don't like this divergence between ES and NQ. That's what's slowing me down here just a little bit. This is a good breakout signal, but I hate the well, for sure. There's definitely like, yeah, I mean, I don't have kids. I don't have to worry about that here yet, but I think the idea of like the school shooting problem in the US, that's really really fucked. Oh, 100%. Yeah, it'll be carbon neutral, and we would have sorted our recycling. Yeah, as it should be, right? Like someone's coming to your house. They're not there because they thought that they parked their car in your driveway, right? It's not some honest mistake. No, you do not, Nick. That's I respect Florida for that. Every now and then, my YouTube algorithm will just be like YouTube shorts of like sheriffs from Georgia or Alabama or Florida, and they're like, if there's a squatter in your home, we recommend you shoot them, then call us. And you're like, oh my god, this would be a lot easier. Who rings your doorbell at 11:30? What are they thinking? 32 to 43. Facts. Facts, Don. I can't quite do like a good Southern sheriff accent, but I love the way that they talk. It makes me so happy. Yeah, you want your uh you guys know who John McPhee is? Like a Delta Force operator. He's really popular on YouTube. He's doing like podcasts with Joe Rogan and stuff. Yeah, Shrek, exactly. Yeah. He always talks about how if you want to do your home defense, it's exactly like that. You want your door, your bedroom door to basically be like the kill funnel, right? If someone's coming in, that's like your defensive posture. 'Cause I want to watch out for this here a little bit. I'm not in a huge rush to trade this move because I still think we have a little bit too much of a divergence between ES and NQ, which um, opens up the opportunity basically for an easy fake out, right? So I think it's the right now we have an environment where price can kind of grind and can kind of go. But this idea that we're going to get easy follow through, I don't think exists here yet. So I want to be very patient. If we do get that scenario, it might set up easier for us on ES than it does on NQ. But I'll say like 75 to 80% sure that this is still going to be a fake out. Yeah, he's a legend, Mike. So I have to say, in my darkest and deepest and wildest fantasies. For sure. But when someone is in your house and they are, they're late at night, they've got bad intentions, you should have the right to be able to incapacitate them or stop them so the police can do that, right? The fact that you don't have the implied right to effectively defend your property or defend your family, I think is really fucked. So like it should be, if the government can't provide a safe place for you to stay, you should be able to enforce that reasonably. And yeah, for sure, if someone's like running away, they're 20 yards away, they're no longer of a threat to you, and you shoot them in the back or you assault them until they're no longer a functional human, they become a vegetable. Yeah, you've probably incapacitated them far too extreme. But that's not your fault. It's their fault for being in your place, right? Like, they wouldn't have showed you any restraint if they saw 2 gold bars. They would have just taken 1. They would have taken 2, right? So I don't understand why they deserve some sort of benefit of the doubt. That's pathetic. Yeah. Well, I'm sure it depends on the context, Don, for sure. I don't know. At least we can all say things in Canada and the US don't seem to be as bad as things in the UK these days. Things in England seem to be taking a very strange turn. Unfortunately, my dog, he would not be a very good guard dog. He would just try to get belly rubs from the thief. Okay, feel really justified, right, in our patience there. Was for sure the right call to make. Just not seen any easy moves here yet this morning. Oh, we're still waiting here, team. Still waiting. Cane Corsos are gorgeous, gorgeous. So this purple line, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Handcrafted. All it is it's a calculation of like a one handle move. So it's 65 points from the high of whatever the opening range is. The line I use more is this red line. So when I map out my risk reward ratios, I'll be drawing it from red line to my stop loss location. But I wouldn't worry about that purple line. That's more just a visual clue for myself. Like I love Rottweilers. They're such beautiful dogs. The the thing that bothers me about it is I think that a lot of times the people who want to get Rottweilers are like not super responsible dog owners. Like with a dog like that, and I'm going to say this even with my Australian Shepherd, like they're really smart and they're like kind of naturally alphas. And a lot of dog owners get them because they're like, oh, I want to be protected, or I want a tough dog, or I want whatever. And then they don't do any like ongoing active training or teaching basically of this dog, right? And so they end up just being really intense, like just because of a lazy owner, which I think is really, really unfortunate. And it gives them a really bad rep. Kind of a weird morning. I don't feel like I've seen anything of interest here yet. Yeah, exactly, Don. Like that's it's really sad, right? Yeah. It's like I don't believe that there's any fundamentally there's no bad dogs. Like I don't think dogs are fundamentally bad. They're always going to go for their natural tendencies. There's just a lot of bad owners. Yeah, 100% Sonia. Then the dog gets blamed, gets put down, gets whatever. But it was just like the wrong type of person bought that dog to begin with and set that dog up for failure, right? Oh, that sounds epic. 500 acres. I mean, my little Ricky, he'd love that. Like my dog, right? He's 35 pounds. I mean, he's absolutely gorgeous. But all he wants out of life is like attention from people. So, you know, he's very like super friendly and whatever. But like I've seen Rottweilers to be the same way too. They just know who boss is, right? And once they know that, they're just like the sweetest, friendliest, cutest dogs with like the slobberiest kisses. Oh yeah, I mean I'm a little bit obsessed with them, so for sure. All right, I just posted him in the members chat. Oh, 100% Don. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Ricky's a little sweetheart. He's a little buddy. He's a good friend. So again, I feel pretty good about avoiding that NQ. We would have been flirting basically with our stop loss here for the entire time with no real separation. So Sonia, you might like this, but Ricky does this trick where if you ask him for a hug, he jumps up into your arms and just gives you like a full-on hug. So maybe I'll get someone to take a video of him doing it at some point here. But that's his little party trick. So generally, there's no I don't have a reason to look at the 3 min or the 5 or the 10 over one specific time frame. The reason why I've been watching on the 5 here for the last 20 minutes is just effectively this 10 a.m. candle. This has been the one that's been like most enthusiastic from a volume perspective or from a narrative perspective. The same kind of candle on the 3 min just looks a lot less appealing. So I'm seeing a stronger story on the 5. The other kind of like we'll call it context clue, right? If you want to call it that, is today has been like a relatively choppy and heavy nonsense open, and there's been like a lot of muck, if you want to call it that. So I would rather look at slightly longer signals and basically get like a little bit of a purer story than I would be to get like super short-term narratives and just get like hyper fixated right on a short-term move. So for me, the 5 min to a certain extent, it's kind of forcing me to slow down a little bit this morning, which I think is a positive when things are kind of behaving the way that they have, or when we're just getting such an unenthusiastic day. Like what's going on ES here on this 5 min, it's honestly disgusting. I don't see how I would have possibly made money there. On NQ, maybe I could have made a few scraps here today, but nothing of any significant interest or like so good I have to take it. I think everything has been very mediocre. On ES, yellow reference line. Oh, this is just a. So if you see on my notes here, right? ORB fake out above all-time high. That's basically just a marker of where previous resistance was. So we've seen range-bound conditions between effectively the July 31st high and then the Friday, August 1st low. And so that's just a reference, right, of those prices. I don't feel like I've missed out on anything here so far, team. I don't know about you guys, but very, very slow start to the AM here. Let's go, Nick. Yeah, I mean, I've got I found someone off Rover here. Someone new from Rover. But like I'll be very honest, like Ricky, he's an absolute sweetheart. He doesn't bark, he doesn't yap, he just wants to cuddle and be your best friend and get some exercise. And so I literally will be walking around on the street or go to a coffee shop and people will beg me to be his dog walker or his like dog sitter. So generally, that's how I've found all of them in the past, and it's quite the blessing. He's honestly the world's easiest dog. I am single, and he is my little wingman for sure. Oh, for sure, Sonia. Yeah, and it's also very. It feels really nice to know that like your animal is loved when you drop them off, right? And that you like that someone else is getting like they appreciate basically his love and enthusiasm, and so that's really really nice. I'll tell you what, handcrafted. So he does the trick, right, where he jumps up into your arms for cuddles. When you meet like a group of people or you get stopped walking or whatever, and you show people that trick, oh my gosh, do you get hearts melting? It is unbelievable. Honestly, what a boring morning. Oh. The 5 minute turn on ES is really disgusting. Yeah, I will say, JS, I don't think I'll have any other dog breed ever again. It's only going to be Aussies. I've gotten too attached to my little buddy. I posted one in the Discord. I don't think YouTube lets me post a pic there in this chat. Members chat. Oh yeah, minis are the best. That's what I have too. Ricky's a little mini. They just love their tribe, right? Like they figure out who their people are and then they get so attached. Yeah, historically, yeah, it does. We should get our first rate cut theoretically in September as well, which I think will open up a whole new market. Like the summer's been pretty good to trade, all things considered. There's been some really frustrating moments, but all things considered, it's been a really, really good summer. Put together like No, it's not, Chris. It's not. Yeah, I kind of thought today was gonna be a little bit busier too, Sonia. Kind of expecting it, but you know what? A day where we don't lose money and don't lose any mental capital, and I get to just talk about how awesome my dog is a pretty good day. Selfishly, pretty good day. Yeah, and like I don't think it's like it's frustrating. And I think this is kind of like last week I talked a little bit about how like I feel uh pressure to basically be here every day. It's like when you get these conditions that are kind of slow and shitty, those should be the days probably where like I take time off and like don't waste mental capital. I think there have been too many times where like I've tried to turn shitty conditions into good P&L and I've paid for it with mental capital. And so, and it's not, honestly, it's not anyone's fault but my own. Because like I just am not very good at honestly like taking care of myself, all things considered. Um, like when I quit my job in the UK, I had something like 67 holiday days that I hadn't used that they had to pay me for. And it's like, what's, yeah, I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I like to work until burnout, then be a grumpy bitch. So that's probably something I need to be a little bit more proactive about. The problem I think with the market in general is that every day feels as if there's like this potential to change your life to a certain extent, or there's like potential for really big numbers or really big whatever, or whatever the objective is. There's always this expectation that there's going to be action, or like the hopium type feeling that it's going to be busy when that's not the reality. Probably only like 70% of the days out of the year are going to give you a really good trade. And so, gotta be more proactive in basically maintaining energy for that 70% and basically not letting that 30% turn me into a grumpy prick. Yeah, so that's a good question. Handcrafted. So why do I basically run the stream if I don't need the money, or if the money is insignificant relative to what I make trading? So I would say for one, I think that I get better by teaching. So one of the big reasons why I like doing this is I feel like I become a better trader by teaching others. It's kind of like my learning style. I've always kind of been that way. I've always like been a tutor to people in subjects, or was training new hires right at the place that I worked or whatever. And so from that element, I find that to be very, very rewarding. The other side of the equation is running this business and running DTR opens up a lot of extra, basically like financial advantages for me that I wouldn't necessarily have just by trading. So, like one of them, for example, right, is I run a business, right? So DTR is an incorporated business. Because of that, I pay myself a salary, right? And pay myself a very good salary from that business. But I'm able to use that, right, then to get much easier credit applications. And banks look at me much differently that I get a salary versus being self employed or getting money from trading. So there's a big perk for that. The other element, right, is that it opens up a lot of visa options for me, opens up a lot of like immigration paths. So, been talking about this in the past, but I have a desire to move to the States. And my business allows me to be able to make that decision without having to invest in Trump's like golden card program. Hey, Rusty, how you doing? So those for sure are a couple benefits, but yeah, like DTR for sure provides a pretty good salary. I would not go to a blue state. Don't worry. So for sure, there's a lot of pros and cons. The other element here, right, is I stream 90 minutes a day, sometimes more, sometimes less. And running this business gives me a lot of extra leverage for my trading. So, for something that maybe turns my trading into like a full-time job, it's a pretty good reward. So I think you're talking about Pfizer there, Dragon Family. Not a ticker that I particularly trade. I wouldn't look to try to call this as a bottom here yet. I think you've got a lot of ways down where this thing could go. You might get a little bit of a intraday bottom, but all things considered, basically last time you got a fake out here, you got a really big sell off, right? Big fake out above 26. You got a big sell off down towards 23. You've got that same setup here pretty much playing out. So I probably wouldn't want to be trying to bottom ticket too aggressively. Yeah, the I guess final thing to say, right, is I run this program or run the stream because I think it makes me a better trader, like fundamentally, and I'll keep doing it as long as I believe it makes me better. So as long as I feel like I'm improving every week, every month, every year, and I still kind of enjoy myself doing it, then I see no reason to stop. So I do kind of find it fun. I do find it enjoyable. I do find it pretty rewarding. I find it frustrating as hell sometimes, but that's like everything, right? I mean, you could be, I don't know, you have your dream job, dream career, whatever, and you'd still hate your job sometimes. That's just the way it goes. For sure, can you get lonely? Yeah. Well, um, yeah, I'm trying to find right way to respond, Matt. I get that every now and then. It's like if you're wealthy and you've got a lot of money, why do you charge people or why do you not do it for free or whatever? And yeah, like for me, trading is something I'm passionate about, right? Yeah, Sonia, 100%. There's been a lot of demand. Like what I would say, guys, is and I don't mean this about anyone here specifically. This is not a comment about anyone individually. Um is it's I love doing this, but I hate doing this with people who are like looking for a lottery ticket or who are uh not serious, right? So like there's nothing more frustrating than someone who's like, "Okay, do me this favor, change my life," but then is like committed to wasting your time. That is really really frustrating. And I would say, like to a certain extent, a winning trade or like a good trading day or a good trading streak or a good trading month feels really good for about like 5 minutes. Like, and then you're okay, on to the next one. But if I can see Logan, for example, right, and I can see how his trading improves over the last 30 days, and I can see how it's changing his life, that's a lot more rewarding, or gives you a lot more validation than like an individual P&L hit. The other element of it, right, is when I started this up, I was appalled. Probably is the right adjective, over just like the low quality of education that was being shown to people, or like people were believing was to be legit. And so my kind of like interpretation of this industry was that you don't need to necessarily have to work very, very hard to provide value here. And that came off maybe a bit bad, but like the competition is so poor, and it's so weak, and it's so pathetic, that it's like, for me to compete and to be world class at this is a lot easier than maybe it appeared, right? Or it appears. And so I think there's always maybe egotistically, there's an element of it where like I'm probably never gonna be the best trader of all time. Like I don't I'm not on that pace realistically. But there's a like I have a really good probability of being able to be like one of the best educators, right, on the internet right now. I that's a game that I have a really high probability of winning, and winning at a like a decent percentage chance of it happening. And winning at that game is probably worth 100 million. So it's a good prize, and it's like a good win if you really go after it. So there is a lot of value to be made there. Yeah, I used to contribute a lot to our day trading or our trading or whatever it was on Reddit, and I would post my live streams on there. And yeah, I got banned for doing that. Yeah, it's great. Reddit's a bit of a fucking disaster, but I have a message somewhere from one of the moderators of our trading, and they basically tried to blackmail me, like, "Oh, we'll unban you. Just give us 10K." Glad to hear that. Some of the I had one ad. This killed me. And it was basically there was like a viral video that went viral, obviously, of someone trading crypto like from the club, and how they lost like $9,000. And so the ad was like, you don't have to lose $9,000 out drinking with your buddies. You can do things better than that. And all the comments on the ad were like, "You're such a dumbass. I can't believe you were trading at the club. Like, oh my gosh, I would never learn from you." All that kind of stuff. So that cracked me up. Well, I'm glad to hear that my marketing team is crushing it. That's positive. Yeah, SoFi looks pretty interesting. I mean, not tradable for me. I mean, not in my range here, but you're pushing towards that 30 handle. That's going to come. If you're going to fade it, I wouldn't look to fade it until all-time high fails. Hell yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've definitely you could definitely pull that off, but I think realistically, probably not going to get a trade here today. Just inside bars across the board. I'm hanging out for now, team. Oh, I love them too, Mike. So what do I do? Yeah, I would consider trading Russell. I would for sure consider trading Russell. Honestly, I've got a couple tickers I want to add to the watch list or to the tradable list. I just need some time to basically backtest them. Honestly, I haven't had a ton recently. So hopefully here pretty soon things are going to slow down and I'll be able to do that. So what do I do for the rest of my day? Good question, Chris. Yeah, I'll get to you in a second, Sonia. So generally here, my work day will be, or my trading day is probably over today. All things considered, it's like 8 a.m. out west. So what I would generally do here now is I got the sauna warming up. So once the trading day ends, I do 30 minutes in the sauna, maybe 25 minutes in the sauna, then kind of like shower, purge my toxins, purge my stress, whatever you want to call it. And then go get a coffee, maybe some breakfast, and then set up to do some one-on-one calls in the morning or afternoon. Generally, once those finish, hopefully it's like early afternoon, or still maybe even the morning on some days. And then I go do exercise. So once my one-on-one calls end, I do exercise. So that's usually either like a bike ride or a run or a hike, especially in the summer. Right now, I'm trying to bike a lot. So that's generally the move. And then evenings, eat something good, eat something healthy, prepare some good food, and then, yeah, like read, chill, watch Netflix, whatever. But for me, every day, I want to do something that helps me make more money in the future, do something that makes me healthier in the future, and do something social. So I basically try to do all three of those things each day. And if I can hit all three, usually pretty happy. So for me, trading day, so my job as a trader is twofold. My job is to trade, which is that kind of like 90-minute window. So that's the moment where I'd be placing trades. But each day, outside of my quote unquote trading day or outside of trading hours, I still want to like review the market, review what I did. Why did I make this decision? Why did I do that? Why did I do X, Y, Z? So that's kind of along those lines. Yeah, Tony, ESM is no longer a tradable market, right? So ESM is June's future, which is no longer tradable, right? So I'm not quite sure why you're on that ticker, but it's no longer a tradable one. So with an inside bar, Sonia, like you're asking when or how many confirmation candles do you look for to see a failure or a breakout? It's not necessarily a question of how many. Yeah, so you probably just need to update your watch list, Tony, as that ticker is no longer a part of mine. When we were doing the futures roll last quarter, we traded ESM, the June contract, for like 1 day only just during the roll, but it's no longer a tradable list and it's no longer a part of my active watch list. So with those inside bar breakouts, right, I'm basically just looking to see a breakout above that Friday range, right? So I'd like to see a breakout above that high or a breakdown below this low or a fake out above this high or a fake out below this low. So it's not a question of when or how many, it's a question of where. And so the where is basically a failed breakout or a failed move above the inside bar high or the inside bar low. Does that make sense? And so, yeah, just inside bars here pretty much across the board all day. I don't think we've missed out on anything. Probably just stress and heartache. Man, I'm starting to get so many bullshit text messages. It's really annoying. Hey, that sounds fantastic, Sonia. Enjoy your workout. Well deserved. And no hate lifting today, so that's always a positive. Every now and then, like I tell myself, right, I got my hate myself runs, which is like, okay, what's the longest distance I can find and the steepest hill to torture myself on? And I guarantee once you finish that run, you will not hate yourself anymore. Guaranteed. You'll hate the hill and like you'll hate your shoes or your ankles, but you're like, all right, life is good. I'm a big believer. Exercise makes everything feel better. If you have a bad day, exercise and go to sleep early, and you will wake up feeling good. Man, this ES is so gross. Yeah, team, I don't see myself doing anything here. Excuse me. Hey, sounds good, Roberto. Appreciate you checking in. And look, if you just apply some of like the risk reward stuff or the position sizing things to your options trading too, and you'll be just fine. You can make more than enough money trading that way. All right, team. So I'm going to go probably final call for questions here. I don't want to do anything stupid. Sounds good, Chris. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right, team. Final call for questions here. Final call for questions. I'll be honest with you, handcrafted. I don't know. I don't keep track of too many of the other social media traders or anything along those lines. Look, my general advice is if someone is exclusively basically pumping lifestyle content or telling you how easy it's going to be, or they're not willing to like show their work, i.e. they're only willing you to show you stuff after it happens, they're probably fake. Or I would say that it's more likely than not that they're bullshitting you. Yeah, I would say that as in general. Yeah. When people are selling you, just in online in general, when people are selling you a lifestyle of, oh, look at me, I live in this mansion, I live this, I live that way, I drive this supercar, all because I learned this 10-minute trick and my life changed that quickly. I don't believe that to ever be true. I think that that's kind of fugazi. I think everything that you want out of life is accomplished. Like you can do it, then you can get there. But generally, people who have gotten there aren't telling you it's, oh, I just did one thing, right? And so that is from there. So does the strategy work for trading later in the day? My schedule does not allow me to be on Wednesday to Friday mornings. Any suggestions? So for sure it can. I would say that the strategy tie has like kind of two windows. So you kind of have like the first 90 minutes of the day is what I traditionally trade. And then you kind of have like the last 90 minutes of the day. Those are the two kind of traditional windows where you see that institutional momentum. Now, the real only difference here right, for trading this from a afternoon setup versus a morning setup is in the morning, right? Your setup trigger is effectively a breakout from inside the opening range to outside, right? It's that initial breakout pop. In the afternoons, let's just pretend, right, that it's an afternoon and price action has, done this all morning. Your setup would be a breakout then above high a day, not a breakout through the opening range, right? So you would have to just set what the opening high is, or the morning high, the morning low, and then basically turn that to be into your opening range. And then you're looking for breakouts above, breakouts below, or reversals. Yeah, have I always traded only morning momentum back in my institutional days? So yes and no. So the reason, like, there I had to trade all day, right? I would trade sometimes pre-market, live market hours, and then sometimes like overnight markets. So for sure, it's not the only way to trade. The reason why I like to trade the morning window is because of how I would be told to trade during that 90-minute window. So the one rule that was basically most important, I would say, right, from like an intraday evaluation perspective, is that I was just never allowed to be more than 5% of market volume at any given time. So let's say that 100 shares got traded, right? I could only buy 5 of those shares, which means, right, if I have a really big position, let's say that my max position size back then was $40 million. So if I wanted to build up into a $40 million position, and I can only be 5% of market volume, I'm not going to be able to build into that position easily if the volume is like pathetic, right, as it is here this morning. It would take me 5 or 6 hours, right, to be able to build up my position sizing, to then be able to execute my trade, and then another 5 to 6 hours to get out of that position. That makes it really tough, right, to be able to make any money because there's too much variance. So when you get those big volume moves, which happen generally at the open, as an institutional trader, I was able to be much more aggressive in those opportunities. I was able to be a lot more aggressive, right, inside those trading opportunities. And that's effectively what I'm looking for, right? Yeah, Darren, for sure. Fire away. Michael at dtrtrading.com. So the reason why I trade the way that I do now, it's not necessarily that I trade the exact same way I did institutionally. I don't, because I have a different position size and requirement. But I know that if I see big volume early, I'm going to see institutions basically pound that volume all morning, and that should give me more follow through. So yeah, I would never be done trading by 11 a.m. There would always be another position or another whatever. But I just know that most of the volume is going to come in early, or it's going to come in late. And so I want to ride that wave. Oh, I for sure feel the pressure. Yeah, for sure. Like I was saying, like the pressure I feel is not it's not to make money or to place trades. Like I don't, that honestly doesn't bother me too much, because I understand that it's a game of variance and that I'm not going to be correct 100% of the time. It's just a game of probabilities, right? Or a long-term numbers game. The thing that I feel pressure about is to show up when I'm not necessarily feeling my sharpest or like feeling my best. And I think sometimes that creates for itself like a pressure to try to be profitable when maybe you should just be sleeping. And so I think that sometimes that can be very, very frustrating, and then becomes like a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because deep down I know I probably shouldn't be trading, or like I maybe don't have a super good edge, but I want to be entertaining, or I want people to feel as if they got their money's worth or whatever it is. And then I end up making a decision that I'm not super happy with. I realize that. I get annoyed with myself in the evening, and then like try to maybe be a little bit aggressive in trying to make it back the following day, or like oh, I need to show my resilience, right? Whatever it is. So I think that there's a certain element of that. As for like trading pressure wise, no, like the trading pressure is a lot less than what it was when I was working institutionally. Like I'd be trading hundreds of billions of dollars in a week, trading $40 million positions. Like the P&L or the pressure of making a decision isn't tough. It's the having to be, and this is a self-imposed problem, but like when I'm make myself available 24 hours a day, or whatever, that can kind of burn me out and I get frustrated. I would not say that I'm always very good at taking the day off when I'm tired or when I'm exhausted. I tend to feel as if I can just tough it out. Oh, it's only 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever. So let me go place a trade, or let me make some money and make myself feel better. So that's something that I'm always constantly fighting with. But like it's a weird one, because I love trading. It's probably my favorite thing that I do here sometimes. Actually, my favorite thing I do here pretty much all the time, but sometimes it's like my least favorite thing in the world. When you're frustrated and you're burnt out and you're tired, and I'm not always very good at avoiding getting to that like burnout feeling. I will work and work and work until I snap, and then I usually take a break. And I don't think that's necessarily the healthiest or most professional approach. And so that's something I need to work on for sure. Basically just being more proactive in managing burnout, right? It's like consistency is important, and being here every day is important, but if you're just being a grumpy prick, that fucking sucks. So I should be better at taking time off, but yeah, I'm not always good at it. Like the thing for me is I'm all things considered like a relatively introverted person, and I don't necessarily have a ton of like social capital, if that makes sense. So like the sweet spot for me, and I don't mean this as a statement to discourage anybody, it's not my intention, but like when markets are choppy and I'm spending 80 hours a week on emails and one-on-one calls and Discord messages and the stream, I lose, like I no longer see the forest from the trees, right? I lose perspective and I get really frustrated. So just managing that and figuring out that ratio better is what I'm working on. But I also I think that level of intensity and that focus and that drive is a big reason of why I'm successful. When I'm trading, I'm very much no nonsense. And that I think is what makes me a really good trader, is I don't tolerate kind of bullshit, for a lack of a better term. And so it's learning how to avoid the extreme variance of the cons will make me be able to take advantage of those pros better. And that's the always the thing to work on. Because it is weird with trading. We get paid for our decisions, not our time. But it's really hard to not feel as if you just got to put a lot of time in. So I don't know. We'll keep figuring out that balance. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and we've gotten a little bit better at it each year. So maybe 10 years from now, I'll finally have the courage to take time off when I'm tired. Yeah, I'm good. I'm not interested. Yeah, so I always need volume confirmation. I won't trade without volume. For me, confirmation is binary, right? So either it happens or it doesn't. I don't want to be in between. I want absolute, basically binary decisions, because if I'm waiting for volume all the time, right, on all my trades, and I do the same thing every single time, if I start to miss out on a ton of trades or nothing goes or whatever, then at least like my pattern of behavior that I'm looking for is consistent, and I can work backwards towards it and get there, right, and repeat that process. If I do a different thing each time, one trade I look for volume, one trade I look for 5 green candles, one trade I look for RSI, whatever it is, then all I do is I hide the patterns that make me money and cost me money. Steven, I'm not really sure how to address your question. So for me, volume, right, is increasing relative to the previous bar, and it needs to be outlier, which is above the moving average. I would highly recommend everyone review the video in the Start Here channel of the Discord. There's a video that I do on confirmations and what I'm looking for from a confirmation for a setup. I would ask that everyone reviews that, because it'll take 5 minutes to watch that. Then I won't have to repeat myself every day at the end of the stream. So I would recommend everyone review that video from the Start Here channel, or review the videos in the How to Trade with DTR, as they will answer all of those basic questions and show you a bunch of examples. No, you're not draining my mental capital, but the reason I make these videos and put them in the Start Here channel is so that you have the context you need to be able to know what you're looking for before you trade with us, right? So it's not draining my mental capital. It's not doing anything along those lines. It's fine. It's just that you're going to make a lot more money, and you're going to be in a lot better situation if you just do that basic preparation. And so creating that context for yourself and doing that work will take you 30 minutes, but it'll 10x your expectation of being profitable. So that's why I ask people to do it. All right. Any other questions here, team? Again, risk is all relative, right? If your win rate with scalping is 50% and your average win is $1 and your average loss is $1, then I would say that scalping is a waste of time, right? If your win rate's 50%, but your average win is 3 times bigger than your average loss, then it's not. I would say, as like a general statement, it's really hard for me to be able to answer that question. it's going to be dependent on each individual trader and the facts around their ability to execute their strategy. I would say for the vast majority of people, what they consider to be scalping is basically just short-term impulse trading. And I don't think that that's particularly a profitable way to trade. Most people's impulses aren't actually there to make them more profitable. They're there to do what's easiest, not necessarily what's best. And so, I would only be able to answer that question once I had an opportunity to study your specific trading. I would say generally yes for trading. But again, I don't really look into them too much. I'm only talking about like horror stories I've had from people, right, who have showed me the algorithms that they have used. And pretty much all of them that I have seen use some sort of variant of a martingale strategy. Anything else here, team? I don't think you can paste a chart into the YouTube chat, Steven. So like I don't really know what to do with your statement, right? Like if you want to send me your chart, send me an email with it or send me a DM with it. Like that's never been restricted from you, but there's just no way why or like there's no way that you can paste it into the YouTube chat. So if you want feedback on it, right, you've got all the other ways that you can get feedback. So I don't understand. All right, guys, I'm done here for the morning. Have yourselves a great rest of the day. I'll see you guys all tomorrow, and we'll talk then. Peace.